Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden. It is a beautiful day outside. It's gonna be in the 80s today and I am excited to get out there and get gardening. But first, I wanted to come in here and have a sit down and talk to you all about a project that I have been working on for the past couple months now. And I didn't want to talk to you all about this project until I really got it worked out in my mind. I did research on it. I just needed to get all my ducks in a row. And I feel like I have all my ducks in a row now at this point, and I'm so excited to share it with you because a lot of my planting for this new property is going to be based off of this project. So as soon as we came and we looked at this property, I knew immediately the direction that I wanted to go for my planting plan. So a lot of you know that I work very closely with Proven Winners. I love Proven Winners plants. I contribute Proven Winners to my gardening career. I would have never continued with gardening had I not tried Super Petunia Vista bubblegum in my front swoop of my old property. That plant just gave me the confidence that I needed to continue going. It made me think that maybe I could do this. Maybe I could plant something. Maybe I didn't have a black thumb or a brown thumb, right? So I truly think that Proven Winners plants are the best, and that's why they were like a dream to be able to work with. It is an absolute dream for me, and I am so excited. And so this project has to do with Proven Winners, and this project I am titling the Best for the West, the Best for the West series for Proven Winners, or Best for the West plant list for Proven Winners. So if you go on the Proven Winners website and you can kind of look around and you can look in a learning section, and they have a section called idea boards. And these idea boards have a lot of really great ideas of plants that you can put in your garden. They have, different combinations for like butterfly gardens or colorful gardens or moon gardens, or like gardens for the South, right? What they're missing though is they're missing those of us out here in the West. Those of us with really hot summers, Mediterranean climates, hot, dry wind, no rain during the summer. They're missing direction for those of us out here. So as soon as I started, thinking about my planting plan for this house, I knew I really wanted to focus on plants from Proven Winners that would be really good for those of us out here in the West. Then, I know I've talked about this video a million times, but this video was, I don't want to say it was life-changing because I feel like that's a little dramatic. But when I went and visited the artist Donna Billick, she did an installation in the UC Davis Arboretum called Nature's Gallery. And that art exhibit was basically tiles of plants that do really, really well in our California Mediterranean climate. And it was just kind of this wall of inspiration for me. As I was standing there in that piece of art, in that gallery, it was giving me chills because I thought, this is what our gardens need to look like. This is what our gardens need to be, and we can make them beautiful and we can make them colorful, but we can make these plants good for our area. Plants that are best for the West. So what I set out to do was create playlists, basically. Playlists of annuals, shrubs, and perennials from Proven Winners that are going to be best for us here out in the West. Now, I do want to say the West is tough because we are so varied in our climates. We have mountains, we have deserts, we have coast, we have everything. So, it's take all these recommendations with a grain of salt. They're going to be better for us as compared to plants that are recommended for the South that have tons of moisture, tons of humidity, lots and lots of heat. We are going to be different than that. No matter where you live on the West Coast, it's going to be different than the South. And of course, it's going to be different in the Midwest. And of course, it's going to be different in New England or Great Britain or the United Kingdom or Australia or anything like that. So this playlist is really focused on those of us out here on the West Coast. And so What I want to do is I wanted to get a collection of plants that either I've tried and I've worked with and realized how wonderful they are for our climate, or that were inspired by the Nature's Gallery wall of plants that were really, really good for our climate, right? So it's basically just a combination of plants that can be recommended to those of us who live out here in this Mediterranean climate that we know are going to be better for us. One of the things that I always talk about is I talk about the USDA zones. I live in USDA zone 9B. Tampa, Florida is also USDA zone 9B. So it's really important, I feel, that we start focusing on the West and we start focusing, on good recommendations for those of us out here for Proven Winners plants. So like I was saying, the idea boards on the Proven Winners website, I have made 3 idea boards, and they are Best for the West annuals, Best for the West perennials, and Best for the West shrubs. And my plan is to adjust those as needed. I have started off with a bunch of recommendations, and these will be good for those of you who live out here in our Western climate to think about for next year, for what plants would go well in your garden. Of course, as Proven Winners introduces new plants, I will be adding more. Sometimes I might take away some if I realize, this just maybe this plant just isn't the place for it. But my goal is to have this playlist be kind of like a menu kind of, that you can choose on which plants are going to be good for those of you who live out here. So I know this kind of excludes a lot of you in other parts of the country, but the one thing that you can remember is that there are playlists for those of you, or there are idea boards for those of you in other parts of the country. There was none out here in the West. So this is something that was really needed for Proven Winners. And I was telling Proven Winners they needed this. And as soon as I suggested this, they said, yes, please do this. We need this. We need someone who lives out here in this climate to say, this plant's really good. This plant's really good. This plant's really good. So for my Best for the West plant list, I have 3 separate lists. I have annuals, I have perennials, and I have shrubs. So depending on which type of plant you are looking for your garden, you can go to that idea board and get some really good ideas of plants that are going to do well in our climate out here. So for the first one, annuals, you all know annuals are probably my favorite because they are so colorful. They bloom all season long. I feel like they're the best bang for your buck to get color in your garden. So I'm not going to go over all the different types. I will put links to my Best for the West idea boards on the Proven Winners website. I'll put that in the description down below. But just a couple, ideas, options of plants that do so very well for us out here is Superbena. Superbena is huge. I cannot imagine not having a garden with Superbena because they can just handle our heat so well, and they bloom all season long. And even if you live in higher zones, they will last over the winter. Don't tell Proven Winners I told you that. But you all know how much I love Superbena Pink Cashmere. It is just, it is right up there with Supertunia Vista Bubblegum for me. Then we have salvias. Salvias are incredible for us. Lavenders, sunflowers, floss flower, scaevola. You all know, how well did scaevola do for me this season? It was a new to me flower. I really didn't know much about it, but the hotter it got as the season went on, the better whirlwind blue scaevola did for me in my garden. So of course that one had to be on my Best for the West annuals plant list. Then we have Best for the West perennials. Perennials are amazing. One of the plants, or actually a lot of the plants that were on that Nature's Gallery wall, were perennials, and Kniphofia was one of them. I have Kniphofia Orange Blaze coming. I'm going to be planting that in my orchard garden. I have daylilies. Daylilies are huge out here, and there are so many beautiful daylilies to choose from. Russian sage. Oh my goodness, Russian sage. I cannot say enough beautiful things about Russian sage. sage. And when I was out in Michigan at Walter's Gardens this past July, I think I was out there, they had kind of this garden bed that had denim and lace Russian sage in the back, and then orange Kniphofia in the front. And the combination of that lavender Russian sage, denim and lace, and then the Kniphofia, the orange Kniphofia in the front was incredible. And as soon as I saw that, I thought, that's going on my Best for the West plant list, and that combination is going in my garden. So there's a lot of amazing things. One thing I do want to say is that as I was going through this list, some of them actually weren't zone 9s. They weren't rated for zone 9. And some of them I think can handle our zone 9 out here in California, our dry zone 9. So our zone 9 sun is a little bit different than say Florida or Georgia's zone 9 sun. So for instance, cat's pajamas, catmint. We have catmint all over the place out here, right? And it does so very well. So that is on my list, even though it is rated only up to a zone 8. Cat's pajamas, catmint is on my Best for the West plant list because I know that plant does well out here, and Nature's Gallery knows it does well out here also. And then finally, there's Best for the West shrubs. And Best for the West shrubs, I feel like this is an easy one because a lot of shrubs do really, really well for us out here. Crepe myrtle is one of them. Center stage crepe myrtle is incredible, and I cannot wait to get that planted in my garden. If you drive around my town, there are crepe myrtles absolutely everywhere, and they are beautiful. They are absolutely beautiful. I just went to Napa to get my Matilaha poppy, and there are crepe myrtles just lining all the roads over there in Napa, and it's just the prettiest thing. There's a couple of new ones that I am not totally familiar with, but as I talk about them, I have friends that say, oh yeah, I have that plant in my garden, I love it, I don't have to do anything with it. And that is like Estrelita Little Star, Tacoma Chiclet Orange. I'm looking over here at my list. Chiclet Orange Esperanza, and then Beyond Pinked Bluebeard or Caryopteris. So excited to get that in my garden because it is supposed to be absolutely amazing for our climate. Yes, we can have hydrangeas out here. One of the hydrangeas that was actually on the Nature's Gallery wall was an oak leaf hydrangea. Oak leaf hydrangea does amazing. So I have Gatsby Pink that I actually think I'm gonna plant today out in my orchard. But then also there's limelights, panicles. I know panicles do very well out here. Yes, they need a little bit more care, a little bit more water. It's a hydrangea. Like, I don't care. I will give it more water in my garden. It does well for us out here. So again, I'm gonna link these idea boards down below. I will be talking a lot more about this Best for the West plant list. I apologize profusely because this kind of leaves out a lot of you in the rest of the country or the rest of the world. But I think those of us out here in the West have, I think that plants do so well for us out here. Sometimes people forget to talk about us out here in the West Coast. And I think it's important, especially for those of us who are new gardeners, to know what plants are going to do really, really well for us out here. So I will be talking about this. I will be doing more videos about this when I talk about, when I do a planting video and I talk about my Best for the West plant list. What I'm talking about are these lists that you all can find on the Proven Winners website under the idea board section. It's actually under the recommended idea board section. So I would love those of you who live out here in the West Coast, not just California, Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, all over here. I would love to hear from you all. If you have, if I missed a plant that you just love and it does so well in your area, let me know. Let Proven Winners know, and we will add it to our list. So I appreciate you all taking the time. I'm so excited about this project, and now you kind of know the direction that I'm going to be taking with my planting. Like for instance, my first plant that I planted was the Miss Molly Buddleia or butterfly bush. That, hands down, is a Best for the West shrub. So I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a chance to get in your garden today.